Hello and welcome to Big Friendly Grub. I hope you are well. And ho 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 holy shit, it's nearly Christmas and I have absolutely no Christmas related content up on the channel whatsoever. So we better rectify this pretty darn quickly. But first, I need to be more Christmassy. There we go, that's much better. And yeah, it's now less than 2 weeks until Christmas. That is absolutely crazy. This year has absolutely flown by. It feels like I've just started the channel still, and yet here we are, like 6 months on or something like that, and it is now Christmas and I have no Christmas related content up. So let's rectify that right now. I love Christmas. I love Christmas in terms of the food. The last few Christmases have been a bit, I don't know, topsy-turvy for me, let's call it that. But I'm really hoping to get really back into the Christmas spirit this year, and one of the things that's going to do it is by making some really great Christmas recipes for you guys and show you how to make them. And I've been really looking forward to this little series of videos because I just love making Christmas food. It is one of my favourite things in the world to make. I really want to come up with some really nice recipes for you guys to hopefully make in the countdown to Christmas. So I think the best one for us to get started with is probably one of my favourite Christmas foods, and that is panettone. Now, if you don't know what panettone is, it is an Italian bread. It's quite sweet and it's usually filled with like fruits like sultanas and mixed fruits and mixed peel and things like that. And it's so nice. It's so soft and delicate. It's a lot like brioche from France, but yeah, it's usually filled with fruits and things like that as well. You can have it plain if you want to. That's how my parents like it. It's plain with a little bit of icing sugar on top, and it is amazing. And it's got a very unique shape. It's very tall, and you need a particular tin for that, which I will show you when we're making it. But panettone for me is like one of the definitive things to make at Christmas, to make it absolutely start feeling like Christmas. So I really want to share this one with you guys, and I'm really looking forward to it. So I'm going to stop talking, I'm going to stop mucking about, and let's get started getting Christmas up in your face. In your face! Hello, quick change of angle because I forgot to mention something in the intro. We are starting this video a lot later than usual today because it's nearly like 10 o'clock. And the reason for that is because we want to get our panettone started tonight because it's going to be left to prove overnight in the fridge. So it's going to have a long, slow prove overnight in the fridge. You could potentially do this like quite early in the morning, but I always find it's better to do it the night before, pop it in the fridge, have a long, slow prove in the fridge, and you'll find that you'll get much better results. So we're going to do it this way, and that's just a quick note because I forgot to mention it. Hooray, I'm a professional, not professional. Right, the first step in making our panettone is going to be making the dough, and for that I'm going to be using a stand mixer because this dough is particularly messy because it's an enriched dough. Like I said, panettone is very much like brioche, and it's enriched with sugar and eggs and butter and milk, and it's absolutely delicious, but it's also going to be a messy dough because the eggs and especially the butter is going to make it quite sticky and quite messy to do by hand. It is possible, but this just makes it a heck of a lot easier, heck of a lot quicker, and you'll find you won't get butter and everything else over your work surface. So if you've got one of these, I highly recommend you use it, but you can do it without. Disclaimer over, let's get started because it's late and almost my bedtime and I might turn into a pumpkin, a very tired pumpkin at that. So to start off with, we're going to need some flour, some strong white bread flour, 500 grams, just pop that in there. Then we're going to need some dried yeast, and we are using 14 grams of that, which is quite a lot, which is probably double the amount we usually use in a normal loaf of bread. But that is because this dough is so enriched with everything. We kind of really want it to rise, and we want it to rise in that really long tin that we're going to be using, and you will see that later, or more accurately tomorrow. We also want just a dash of salt, just because always season your flour, always put the salt on the opposite sides of the yeast because that can kill your yeast if you put it directly onto the yeast. Then we want 50 grams of caster sugar, not a lot but enough to sweeten up this bread. Then I'm adding in just a quick dash of vanilla extract, not lots, just probably about a teaspoon's worth, 2 teaspoons, something like that. And then I've got the hook on now, and I'm going to bring this down and I'm going to slowly turn this on and gradually add in 125 millilitres of warm milk. Right, that's got the dough started off and some of the milk mixed in with it, and now I'm going to add in 4 to 5 eggs, and I'm saying 4 to 5 because if you have got medium-sized eggs, then you'll probably want 5. If you've got large eggs, then you'll probably want 4 eggs, and I have 4 eggs, so I've just added in 4 large eggs, and we're going to get these mixed in as well. You only want it on about a medium speed, you don't want it too high, you don't want to overwork this at this point. Always keep a spatula handy so you can get any flour that might be creeping up the side, because you want to make sure this is all well combined. Right, that's had a couple of minutes of just combining together. You can see it's already quite sticky, but it has started to come together. It doesn't look like a dough yet, and it won't just right now, because next we need to start putting our butter in. And we are going to have 250 grams of butter. It's a heck of a lot of butter, I know, it's a whole pack. But we said this was rich and beautiful and sweet, and this is really what's going to give it that richness. It is definitely a Christmas treat. So I've already chopped this up into bits. It's quite soft. It's probably like a good room temperature. And I'm going to just add this in bit by bit, one at a time, until it is all combined. So we're just going to add this in a bit of a time now. Once one bit looks like it's combined, then add in the next one and keep going until it's all combined. Right, all that butter's combined, and you can see it is now super sticky, but it's also very smooth and a lot lighter in colour, and it absolutely smells amazing. It is smelling so rich and beautiful from all that butter, and it is so sticky, so messy, but it's going to be absolutely amazing. Look at that, look how smooth and beautiful that is. Now I'm just going to pop this back under the mixer for another probably 5 minutes or so, just to basically knead that dough and work the gluten a bit, because it's still bread after all. So I'm going to pop this down and give this another 5 minutes kneading on a medium speed. Right, our dough had its extra 5 minutes of kneading, and you can see now that this is now super glossy and smooth and sticky and beautiful, and it smells incredible. I've transferred this into another bowl that will actually fit into my fridge, because it is now time for this to go into the fridge overnight, and this is going to allow a nice long prove in the fridge, and it is also going to allow our dough to stiffen up and solidify, and this is going to allow us to shape it, because it is very sticky and quite soft and malleable at the moment. So this is going to really help us solidify this a bit more and make it easy to handle. So I'm just going to get some cling film over the top of this, and we can get this into the fridge while Bubble and Squeak guard my Christmas tree. Right, we're going to now get this into the fridge so it can prove itself, and boy is it going to prove itself. Now you could do this during the morning, and if you are a super early bird and you get up at like 5 o'clock in the morning, you could start this off then. But I would recommend doing it overnight, because it needs a good probably like 6 to 8 hours to prove, and then it's going to have another another long prove later on in the day as well. Hence why I'm starting it in the evening. So I'm just going to whack this into the fridge, and we will see you in the morning. Good morning. Wow, it's like nothing happened at all. Yeah, it's been about 10 hours since I put the old panettone dough into the fridge. I haven't slept for that whole 10 hours, I promise. I've been up and doing stuff, getting things ready for the next steps. But it has been a whole night, and it's had time to prove in the fridge. So yeah, you can see, well, you can't see because the fridge is currently in the way, but you can probably now see that this has doubled in size. It's looking very nice indeed. And if I take this cling film off, you can see this has firmed up really quite nicely, and this is what is going to allow us to mold it, shape it, and get our fruit into it, because that is what I'm doing for this one. I think it's the most traditional way of doing things, so I'm going to pop our dried fruit into this. You don't have to do it that way. I said before, you could leave it plain if you want to. That works very nicely as well, but I think this is the most traditional way to do it, so that's what I'm doing. So let's go move over here and we can get on with this. Right, first thing I'm going to do is move this over and quickly throw down a little bit of flour to stop our dough from sticking to the surface too much. Then I'm going to tip out the dough onto here. As you can see, that's already lovely and firm, and we can now handle it a lot better than we could last night. It's still a bit sticky, but it is a lot easier to handle. In fact, let's quickly throw a little bit of flour over the top here. And I'm just flattening this out because we want to distribute the fruit through this as much as we possibly can. So I'm just trying to increase the surface area. There we go, that's much better. And now what I'm going to do first is I'm going to just grate over the zest of a lemon. and the zest of a clementine. If you don't have a clementine, an actual orange will do fine just as well, but clementines are just a little bit more Christmassy, I find. Then for our dried fruit, I've got 150 grams of sultanas. I'm going to just distribute these over the top here, and also got 100 grams of mixed peel. This is like candied mixed peel, and it's got, again, like oranges and lemons and all sorts of stuff in here, which is going to be amazing, or amazing if you like dried fruit. If you don't like dried fruit, as I said twice already, you can leave this out. Although I would still encourage putting the lemon and clementine zest into this, even if you're doing a plain one. Right, now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold this up and start getting this fruit all distributed into here, and this might take a little while. So we're essentially going to knead this into the dough, but don't try and overwork it too much. You don't want to overwork the gluten in this, so you just want to try and get it so that everything's evenly distributed throughout the dough. So you might be able to see now that the fruit is all nicely evenly distributed throughout our dough. I don't know why I say distributed like that. I think it's because it's a little bit tricky to pronounce sometimes, so I just say it a bit slower. But yeah, all the fruit is distributed throughout that dough, and we can now get this into our panettone tin, which is a very, very special tin. Here it is. It's a lovely tin. It's my favourite tin. If you can have a favourite tin, it's this one, just because I just love the shape. It's so lightweight, and it's also perfect for conducting the heat throughout this. So we need this tin because this is the classic panettone shape, and it is lined with some greaseproof paper, because this will help us take the panettone tin out. It will help us take the panettone out of the tin. All we're going to do is just pop this in here, down into the bottom, and this is going to need even more time to prove and rise up that tin. It's probably going to need a good 3 to 4 hours, I think, because it's quite cold today, and it may take a fair bit of time for this to rise up. So we don't want it right at the top of the tin, but we do want it a fair way up the tin, and it will rise the rest of the way in the oven. If you want to know where to get a panettone tin from, you can find them in baking stores, or you can get them online on Amazon and places like that. We're going to go now, pop this to one side and let it prove, and we'll come back later. Right, it's been about 4 hours since our panettone was put into the tin to rise, and it's time for the big reveal. Whee, look at that. Look, it has risen up to about 3/4 of the way up to the tin, and that's about where we want it, because you don't want it right up to the top of the tin at the moment, because obviously this is going to rise even further in the oven. So at this stage, we don't need to do anything with it right now. We can just get this straight into the oven. I've got the oven on about 160 degrees C. This is a fan oven. If you don't have a fan oven, it'll probably be about 180. I'll put all the conversions into Fahrenheit and gas mark into the recipe and into the description below as usual. So I'm popping this in onto a low shelf because it's a tall tin. Don't worry that the paper touches the top, that's why it's there, to give us a bit of clearance. And that's going to have 25 minutes in the oven at first, that's halfway through the baking time. Then we're going to come back in that 25 minutes and then apply an egg wash to the top just to give it a nice golden shine. Right, it's been the initial 25 minutes, and I'm bringing this out. Whoa. Oh dear, so you can see that's already puffed up quite a lot. In fact, I'm going to move that shelf down even further just to be on the safe side. Then what I'm going to do is just take a beaten egg and just give this an egg wash to give it a nice golden finish. It's already looking nice and golden because it's got a lot of butter in it, but egg wash will just help finish it off very, very nicely. Then I'm just putting it back into the oven for another 30 minutes at a lower temperature of 140 degrees C on fan, so that's about 160 degrees C in a normal oven. Again, conversions in the description, and that's going back in for another 30 minutes. Right, our panettone can now come out of the oven, and I'm going to level with you guys. It has not been in for an additional 30 minutes. It's actually been in for an additional 50 minutes, which is much longer. But the reason being is because there is so much butter in this, you want to make sure it cooks evenly all the way through, otherwise you end up with a soggy middle, and no one wants a soggy panettone. So the way that I checked it was, much like you would with a cake, is to use a skewer to then poke down into the middle of the panettone to see if it comes out clean. If it comes out clean, your panettone is cooked. If it doesn't, it needs a bit longer. Yeah, it's fine. This is why recipes are always a guideline. It's always going to be a bit different with different ovens, and you know, just sometimes the mood just takes a recipe, just go, no, I'm going to cook a bit differently today. So always check. But put my gloves back on, don't want to burn myself. You can see how lovely and golden that is. Isn't that great? That looks fantastic. And it smells amazing as well. You're getting all that butter, the sugar, and the fruits in that as well. It smells incredible. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this to just cool down in the tin for 5 minutes, and then I'm going to take it out of the tin and we can have a proper look at it. But it smells fantastic. Right, our panettone has had about 5 minutes to cool down. I put it by the window with it open just to help some cold air and cool it down, because it's blooming freezing out there today. So now it is for the moment of truth. This panettone tin has a loose bottom to it. Usually I put like a glass or something underneath it to help slide the tin out, but I don't have any glasses tall enough to try and get this out of the tin. So I'm just going to have to do it with my hands. Thankfully this has cooled down. So this is going to be the hard bit. So I'm just going to very, very gently move this out of the tin. I don't want to damage it. Oh, there we go, slide you out. That is a not very graceful way of doing it, but oh, there we go. And that comes just away from there. And let's pop this up. Oh, there we go. Look at that. Oh, that looks fantastic. Look at that. That is a beautiful panettone. They always turn out so lovely. I just love the shape of them. They are probably one of my favourite breads. So unfortunately this is now going to need a good time to cool, because then we're going to just dust it with a bit of icing sugar, and I'm actually going to take it to work tomorrow. But when it is at work and we cut into it, I'll video that so you can see how it looks inside. But it smells absolutely amazing. And the best thing about these is you can get a nice tin for it. They make fantastic gifts as well, just like a nice little bonus Christmas gift, and it just goes to show how nice they are and how much you care, which is what Christmas is all about, caring. Right, our panettone has had a couple of hours to cool down. It's smelling fantastic. So all I'm going to do as a finishing touch is to get some icing sugar dusted over this. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Okay, that was a fair bit. I went a little overboard, but that's fine, because to be honest, usually some of this will still absorb into the actual panettone with some of the residual heat that's in there. So yeah, you could probably find that you want to top up the icing sugar if you're giving it to someone just beforehand, but that just gives it a really nice festive touch, don't you think? There we go, one magnificent Christmas panettone. Doesn't that look spectacular? I just love these things. They just look amazing. Yeah, the ones that you can get in the shops and things like that, they're good, but there's just something about making one of these yourselves. They look fantastic, and they do impress when you give them to people, because people think it's just something that you can buy in the shops or like Italian delis and things like that, which you absolutely can. And again, they are good, but there's just something about making it yourself. If you're looking for like ideas of like homemade presents, whether it's for your family, your friends, or maybe even a secret Santa, these are fantastic because it just shows a bit of effort and care that goes into them. They're really not that hard, but they just look amazing and you get great results. They're just a little bit time consuming, that's all. You know, we started this last night. It's now the next evening with all the proving and cooling and baking and everything else, but they're just so worthwhile and they epitomise Christmas for me, they really do. And I just love them, and hopefully if you make this you'll love it too. So yeah, that is our first Christmas video of the year, and that is the Christmas panettone. I hope you enjoyed this video. I certainly enjoyed it. I love making these things. They are so good. So we will be back with another Christmas video very soon. I'm making sure I'm filming a good bunch of these, so hopefully they'll all be up in time for Christmas. But even if I don't get all the videos up this Christmas, or you don't get around to making any of these this Christmas, then just earmark them for next Christmas and it'll give you some ideas. So that's it from me. I really hope you enjoyed this video. All the usual stuff. It's Christmas, so give us a like, give us a subscribe, all that wonderful stuff. Get in the Christmas spirit, and I will see you for the next Christmassy Big Friendly Grub. Bye. I'm just gonna put some Christmassy music on.
Very good.